Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How's it going, y'all? Some espresso. Gotta get my groove on. So, hope you guys are having a good Labor Day. Um, Never forget that this day, people, as Americans, we take so many holidays for granted. This is another day off, but actually, people fought and bled during the labor movement, throughout the 1800s, the Industrial Revolution, up until like the 1940s, which I think is when they actually made it a holiday. But a lot of people sacrificed their lives, and strikes, their livelihoods, and don't take it for granted. This day is off. Really was created to be a recognition of the labor movement, and of course, during the Cold War, they minimalized it because they wanted to get rid of the communist, socialist influence or whatever like that. But regardless, no matter what your political standing, you have rights here in the U.S., which we still should have more to go, but you have rights because of the sacrifices that these people made in the labor movement. Sorry, two streams in a hallway outside of a tea place, but hope you guys are doing great. I heard some really distressing news earlier, but now it's so common that you're desensitized to it. One of my favorite actors, Michael K. Williams, who was in The Wire, one of my favorite shows, and also Boardwalk Empire, which I think is a better show. And I've been watched this show multiple times over and over and over again. And he just recently died from a heroin overdose. And it's so sad to see. He was only 54 years old, but it's so sad to see so many people succumb to addiction and drugs. Because I'm going to be honest. In 2021, really, if you get to like hard drugs like heroin and stuff like that, you already know what the outcome is going to be. I still don't understand why so many people gravitate towards that. It's just kind of crazy. But he was 54, so I'm not going to do the math. But he got into it when he was a lot younger. But there's always like artists and musicians and actors that are always knee deep into these drugs, man. And maybe it's the stress, maybe it's a lifestyle. But it always ends up being their undoing, So, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have mercy on him, and I hope when he is judged accordingly to whatever our Creator's will is. But it's unfortunate that his lifestyle led to his demise. Hey, what's up, Quran Anon? Yeah, so you're about to sleep. Okay, brother. Yeah, I'm not sure what part of the country you are, but thanks for tuning in. But I saw this life taken for granted, and really, people really do take their lives for granted, especially when we consider what they consume, their health, their mental health. They take that all for granted, and they don't realize it until it's too late. Like, I can imagine, in his last moments, him just being like, wow, like, I'm going to die, and I'm dying because of something I've done to myself, and it's so sad, it's so disgusting. That's especially for one reason that I'm permanently terrified of committing suicide. I can imagine just at that moment where I'm finally about to die, just being like, this is so stupid, and I can't come back from it. That's my worst freaking nightmare, man. Not only for this life, but also the hereafter. Can you imagine going up to your creator and being judged accordingly because of an action that you did, that led to your own demise? I can't think of anything worse than that. So, actually, Quran Anon, if you have any questions, let me know. And you know what? I'll try to add you to the stream. I've just been having a lot of volume issues, but I'll see if it's loud enough. Whatever like that. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Get you up on here. Hope you're having a good day, inshallah. But so many of us, especially in the West, we take our lives for granted. Um, what's up, Walter, my boy? See you in here as always, man. Much love. Yep, I'm still not over how drugs took out the greatest singer in history, sold 200 million records. Um, yeah, I think you're talking about MJ, right? I actually saw the chair in a museum, the chair he died on, bro, when he overdosed. It's sad and it's terrible. Like drugs are, everybody's worried about COVID and stuff, but nobody's really having a conversation about preventable diseases like drug addiction. I mean, so many people are dying every single year from drug related issues, and it's sad. It's so sad. And at one point in my life, I was knee deep in maybe being a statistic myself. And that's why I'm on here trying to especially give young cats like the breakdown and decompartmentalize the things that you're raised on that you consider cool. Like everybody's all like, oh, going to the club, popping bottles, sniffing this, popping that, it always has a nasty outcome. Like you don't need that to feel complete. You don't need that to be cool. You don't need drugs to fit in. In fact, be a loner, stand out and carve your own destiny, your own path. And people may look upon you as weird, but you'll be alive, right? You'll be thriving because all too often, even really successful people, those drugs, they bring them down. Those drugs don't bring them success. They like to think that it does, but really those drugs just end up bringing it down. All these guys on Wall Street doing all that cocaine and stuff like that, they get an expensive enough habit to where the drugs dominate their life. And then they're losing employment. Why? Because, they're up all night and then they got to pop a pill to go to sleep. And then they show up for work, they're sloppy and this and then third. And then it's super addictive. They have to get more and they get a tolerance. And it's disgusting, man. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to add you on, Wolfbone. But I'm just going to say, let's try not to, if I put you on and the sound is right, try not to really delve in and out of the conversation because sometimes, like, I'm going to be honest, when I have you on, sometimes the conversation just goes all over the place. And I just want to stay on topic this time, okay?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. How you been, Zaki?
Yeah, man. I'm blessed, man. I'm here on this earth, man. I got a little money in my pocket. I got my health for as much as I'm concerned. I got employment. I don't really have anything about compared to some people, man.
Yeah, that's something to be thankful for. I just want to say Happy Labor Day. Say how you doing. I know I'm not on your streams as often as I should be, but every once in a while, just come by, show my brother some love. You know what I'm saying? You know what this is.
Yeah, man. You talking about the red pill Ibmore?
Yeah, this is Screwball Dirty, aka Uncle Screwy. You know what this is.
Yeah. No, but I met you through the Ari Ibmore channel.
Yeah, that's right. And we had the conversations about the history of Islam and everything. That's how we all meet. We all met a long time ago.
Yeah, man, that's what's up, man. So, what do you think about the topic, man? I don't know if
take it for granted.
Ever watched The Wire or Bulwark Empire, but Michael K. Williams, that brother died today from an overdose.
Wait, excuse me, Michael K. Williams. He passed away?
Yes, Michael K. Williams, yeah. Black guy, dark-skinned black guy.
Yeah, I know who Michael K. Williams is. I remember who Michael K. Williams is. What happened exactly?
He overdosed on heroin. They found him in his apartment.
Philip Seymour Hoffman all over again.
Yeah, Seymour Hoffman. That was a good freaking actor. I still haven't seen In Cold Blood where he played Truman Capote. Yeah, I really want to see. Actually, I saw Truman Capote, all the drugs he overdosed on. They still had the prescription bottles and stuff like that, and they had the shirt that he had in this museum. It was actually pretty crazy.
I'm sorry, but you think we don't know who these people are as actors and everything. I'm just like, drug overdose like that, being taken for granted. I understand what it means to be taken for granted. I've had people, people just look at you like you're weird and everything. Because I'll give you an example of myself. I remember, among my friends, I'm the only one who doesn't drink or smoke. Cigarettes, that is. consume alcohol. And a lot of people just looked at me like I'm weird because I didn't drink. Because sometimes we'd hang out, like go to a bar or whatnot. I was always the sober one, just minding my business, being watchful around. And then one of them, my friends, had to stand up for me and said, "Leave him alone. If he's not drinking, he's not drinking. It's better that he doesn't drink anyway, being the way how he is." But the thing about addiction, I wonder if you're familiar with a gentleman named Dr. Carl Hart from Columbia University.
No.
He's a university professor. He studies, I believe it's pharmacology. He has a very interesting take on the issue of addiction, and that addiction
Is
and
it the
substance
life you
abuse.
address?
That's correct.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
So he talks about how this thing is like substance abuse is mostly like an escape from something. Like they have some unresolved trauma. I mean, for example, Michael K. Williams. I don't know. Have you ever seen the Netflix series When They See Us? It talks about the Central Park Five.
Oh no, I haven't seen it.
Okay, well in that series he plays the father of one of the five, and it was very important to him that that he be involved in the whatchamacallit, in the project, because he remembers what was it like growing up at that time in Harlem. If you wonder how he got the scar on his forehead, it was because he was out in the park like some of those young guys at that time, and he got cut up. He got jumped because cats were wilding out in the park. This is back in the 80s when things were wild in New York, back when New York wasn't safe. So I bring this up to the topic.
Like New York City, man. New York, especially during the 80s and 90s, was just crazy, man.
Oh, the 70s, it was worse. I mean, the Bronx was really rough, but we're getting off topic. But it's relative to what I'm saying about, some people have unresolved issues, and they have to and they use substances to escape that whatever it is, they use it as a means to forget and escape or suppress whatever unresolved issues they have. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, like you mentioned about some of these people, like in higher power positions, they need the substances to help them take the edge off. Mm-hmm. And it's not an addiction, but a dependency some people develop. If you understand and if you know what I mean.
Oh, of course, man. I worked service industry, so I saw that all the time, man. Mm-hmm. Saw it all the time. All the managers are doing blow, and all that kind of stuff to keep up with the pace and stuff. It's kind of crazy, man.
Oh, it's high pressure. You need something to help you take the edge off. It makes you feel lighter, because the stress really takes you low, because these are high power stressful situations, and we're not built to handle that kind of stress. So sometimes you need things like this to take the edge off. I remember another example I could give is like, if you ever seen the show Insecure. Uh-huh. The character Molly, played by Yvonne Orji.
I hate her character. I hate her character so much. She's she's such trash. But like, as a person in real life, I'm not going to judge her for her character. I hated her character.
Well, she must have done something great, because if you have an emotional reaction towards the character, that means you were drawn to the character in one way, good, bad. It brings you into the show. Now, anyway, her character, because she was single and was in a high power position as an attorney, she had a tendency to resort to drinking, to consuming large amounts of alcohol as a coping mechanism. So that's what, like, women in high power positions, from what I understand, like master teacher once explained, was like, certain women, if they're not in a relationship, especially those in high power positions, they sometimes needed some kind of substance to help take the edge off the stress of being in those occupations.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are very hypersexual too, man, especially in the corporate world. Now the corporate world is probably not the best place to pick up a date, because the HR and all the feminists that's like in corporate America. But a lot of people in corporate America, especially a lot of the women, they're fucking a lot, man. part of my French, but they're because I know personally, you know, like that would
Although
put themselves
I don't
out there.
mind your French, don't worry. You know, sometimes we gotta, instead of using the French used in France, let's use we can use the form used in Belgium or Switzerland. Yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, the taken for granted. People now understand, like, you know, some people just don't want to be exploited, like the title says, or like people having issues with their, you know, with substances. Like, but I don't know. Just I'm still trying to wrap my head around Michael K. Williams' death.
Mhm.
Omar from The Wire actually took his own life. No, he died of a heroin overdose.
Mhm. And what's crazy is that he said that role kind of pushed him further in the edge, man.
Which role? Omar?
Omar, yeah.
Omar Little, being a gay stick up king. All right.
Mhm. He wasn't gay in real life, by the way.
No, I know he was straight. I know he was straight in real life. But
Mhm.
but he was such a convincing actor. He was very convincing.
Definitely.
I mean, certain roles will push you over the edge. I mean, like take Keith Ledger playing the Joker,
Mhm.
an accidental overdose. That's what claimed his life.
Yeah, that's why personally, I know that this will probably never happen, but I don't believe that kids under the age of like 16 should become actors, man. Every single child actor, you're exposing them to Hollywood, which is a whole din of, you know, nastiness. And then like a lot of them get introduced to drugs real early, all kinds of shady stuff real early, and you're teaching essentially your kids to lie. Like, you know, like Drew Barrymore, like it's prime example. Like you're teaching your kid to lie, that lying is good, lying makes you money, and then after a while, uh, of course, they start lying to themselves. You know what I mean? Imagine trying to form a relationship and somebody else is an actor. Like, where do you draw the line between what's real and what's not? You know
Now
what I mean?
she's been dialed. Then again, let's not forget there is, you know, family history does play a role in substance abuse. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like, you know, her father was an actor, but he also had substance abuse problems. Her grandparents' generation were known as great actors. On her paternal side,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, she was exposed to a lot of, you know, substance abuse from a very young age. But however, you know, look at Malcolm Jamal Walker, Theo from the Cosby Show. He was able to avoid those pitfalls because his parents understood the importance of having a normal life outside of acting. Even
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Cosby made sure to, you know, help him, show him how to keep his head on straight in this sick world, and how insane that the show business was. As much as we demonize Dr. Cosby,
Yeah, like
I
I
mean,
don't.
take the show Malcolm and Eddie,
Dr. Cosby, I
huh?
am no longer on the bandwagon publicly bashing this man. I feel like it's a complex issue. You can't, especially as a black man, like throw that guy under the bus. And yes, you know, we can talk about if it's credible or not, if he got screwed by the system, this, that, and the third, allegations, whatever, right? He did. Now looking at what the media has for black men being portrayed as, I don't see anything close to him. Every black man's either a thug or freaking you know, something negative, you know, not intellectual. Like I see very few roles where a black man's intellectual, and if he is intellectual, he's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
a simp. You know what I mean? He's kind of like a simp, and you know, there's not even enough black fathers on TV. You know, so I
What
give
if
him
I were to
credit.
tell you he foresaw this?
I'm sorry.
What if I what if I told you he foresaw this years ago? He knew this was going to happen to him.
I wouldn't be surprised, man.
I remember this was in the early 2000s. I was watching him on Larry King Live, and he talked about the whole issue regarding the scandal surrounding Michael Irving, famous, you know, Super Bowl winning wide receiver of the Dallas Cowboys, about a certain incident that took place during one of his birthday bashes. He talked about how the media was trying to, like, you know, demonize and whatnot. And when his name was cleared, Irving And Cosby mentioned that Irving, with his trench coat or with a jacket tucked under one arm, pointed at the media and said, "Keep going, come on." Once shit turned around, his name was cleared. They wanted to divert their attention to something else instead of bringing it back and trying to, because they didn't want to own up for what he did.
The media never apologizes when they basically destroy somebody's life. Like look at MJ. They never done a public apology now that it's been put out that that all that stuff was fabricated. They haven't apologized whatsoever. They do that repeatedly all the time.
Which MJ are we talking about here?
I'm sorry?
Which MJ are we talking about here?
Michael Jackson.
Okay, because I was like,
yeah.
Because you got Michael Jordan.
Got struck down in court again.
One of them took their life from what I understand. One of his accusers, but
no, it was one of the parents.
Oh, okay, but still, it's like this is why you have libel laws. This is why people always take that's why this is like the media has to take the media has to do things like retract a story, like they do. They don't do that like they used to. There was credible journalism back then, but now it's all about clickbait. It's all about ratings and everything. And yes, I'm trying to stay on track. I'm trying to stay on track with the topic. I know I'm all over the place.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man.
That's how I operate.
So when people like human beings, I think our biggest flaw is we act like we're so invincible, man. Especially like black men, like we act like we're so freaking invincible, man. And then especially look at our diet. Like a lot of black men I know have terrible diets, man. They eat a crap ton of pork, they drink, they smoke, they do all this, and then like before you know it, they're getting diabetes, all this other kinds of stuff. But nobody want to look like, I think there's like a culture of like a lot of guys don't want to look weak by eating healthy. A lot of guys, they don't want to seem soft. So they engage in that. I remember I didn't meet another black person that was vegan or vegetarian until freaking I went to college, man,
Oh, I can honestly tell you that's just a lot of people do not. What you drinking?
Drinking green tea.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering. Oh, because it looked like regular tea or something like that. Or maybe drinking iced tea. Who knows?
Yeah. I like it iced, man. It's super blazing out.
I gave up drinking all those substances. I just stick to water, juice, and almond milk or rice milk.
Hey man, tea floods you out, man. I feel amazing every time I drink it.
Tea. Well, yeah, that too. But then again, I can't have tea, because it's not good for my anxiety, caffeine and everything, especially coffee. Yeah, it's spilling my guts out. But I'm not surprised that some people don't want to appear soft, because it's like they think this knowledge of self and learn to be healthy. You only live once, so F it. People want to indulge, but people fail to realize there's a time and a place for to have indulgences. I mean, I myself, was it last week? I just turned 39. I just turned 39 last week, so yeah, I appreciate it. But it's just just got it. But I already realized what's important to me, because I've seen a lot of people my father's generation who've been plagued with diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and whatnot. And I've had these discussions on Sir Charles's hangout, because we talk about being multifaceted and a lot of things that are related to being men as black men. But then again, I come from the motherland, and we don't have that sense of invincibility. We just understand survival and trying to stay loyal to who we are and our identity. But we're very aware of our mortality. But some people are also in denial. Especially when you're young, you don't know. You want to see how far you can push yourself. It's like Icarus with the was it Icarus?
Oh yeah, that's a great myth. That's a great story.
Yeah, Icarus with the wings. Don't fly too close to the sun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, and that gives me to think, man. There's that old saying, "Youth is wasted on the young," and I don't want to diss young people whatsoever, man. I think a lot of them are good people. They're just really
misguided. You're still young. What are you talking about?
I just think that a lot of them are misguided. I mean, and it's unfortunate because that whole YOLO, live fast, die young. I mean, I used to play punk music, so I know all about that. There was like the 27 Club. All your favorite artists died at 27,
All
or
right.
yeah, people living on the edge, like that was considered badass and sexy and stuff. So the more, like, I hate to say it, the more dangerous I was and the more crazy of a lifestyle I had, the more women I got. And that only kept on me pursuing that lifestyle. Now that it's funny now, like, to have, a good job, and I take care of myself, I have a good head on my shoulders. Unfortunately, I feel like I get less attention. You know what I'm saying? But like when I was like living on the edge and frankly didn't have my own place, I was sleeping on the couch and stuff like that. There was something sexy about that, because I was like a dangerous guy living on the edge, a rebel, if you will. It's kind of crazy. That's our culture. That's our culture right now. You know what I'm saying? A guy, if he's
A lot of the
boring,
world is like that. So I know it. I know what that means because some people might think I'm a little boring, but I'm just weird. You know what I mean? Because I understand this whole world for what it is. And people look at me like, why do you understand so much? Because I have a good head on my shoulders. It's just, I am not without my problems. I'm not without my shortcomings. But Zaki, I will say this, brother. You should be thankful for the what you've experienced in your life, because that was part of your journey. That was part of your journey.
Feel you. Yeah,
I mean, because you had to. I mean, some of the you can't experience. You can't experience, because those were the struggles you had to go through in life. So you shouldn't be you shouldn't feel ashamed because your past. Like if somebody who was born into the faith kind of lectures you about your past, you like, this was part. You just look at it and say, this was part of my journey. This was my journey to Allah. What are you talking about, man? Who are you to judge me? You're not above sin.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm not. I mean, I admit I'm a sinner. But then again, it was like Hurricane Reuben Carter that said, like, you remember Hurricane Reuben Carter?
Who was a boxer?
Yeah, boxer. He was portrayed by Denzel Washington. Yeah. He in the real life Reuben Carter, aka the Hurricane, once said, "The saints in heaven were sinners on earth." So we all have these. So unfortunately, some of us have these trials and tribulations to go through. So the substance abuse problems, like some people have, or the addiction some people have, or the addictive personality some people have, that is part of their journey. All we can do is help them trying to find a way out of it, but it starts with them.
Another thing, especially like hitting rock bottom and not even having. I remember one time I was going over to get food stamps. I literally had a negative bank balance, man, and humbled, like, you never being humbled by that. And I do believe that Allah or God or wherever you believe in, they will humble you. When you lose everything, man, it's so humbling. And I think a lot of human beings really do get into their ego. And my ego's been destroyed a couple of times, man. And each time now I feel like I can especially like the little things, man. I got a working body. I got my health for the most part, mentally, spiritually, and physically.
Free of toxicity or toxic energy.
Oh yeah, bro. And what sucks too, man, especially like trying to find a wife or trying to find a spouse. Unfortunately, you have to go, vet people and stuff. And there's so much toxicity, man. Like I even thought about the other day. I love going home and having peace of mind, having my own bed, not watching some other crap that somebody else wants to watch, not having to order food that somebody else wants to eat. I'm my own master, you know what I'm saying? And I like it like that. If I get with somebody for the rest of my life or marry somebody, they got to be down with my program. I'm down to compromise every now and then, but at the same time, it's like
compromise. I don't know. Compromise sometimes. I don't know about compromise so much, but there's a brother of mine. He's a convert himself. He put it like this: you got to learn how to be happy in your own skin before you can be happy with other people, because you can't be dependent on other people to make you happy. And that means you have to first come to deal with your own stuff. I mean, Surah Rad, ayat 13, excuse me. Chapter 11, verse 13 of the Holy Quran. If you have a Quran on you,
No, I don't have one on me.
can you do a Google search?
Uh, Sometimes like I try to multitask on this thing, and this is my work laptop, so it could
Okay,
be
okay. Let me do it then.
YouTube.
Let me.
Yeah.
Let me.
Warner, you are exactly right. I am blessed. I love children. I want to have a family legacy. But if I had kids years ago, I would have been a terrible father, man. My little brother, he got wrapped up in that with a crazy baby mama, and to the point where he got custody of his kid and he lost custody of his kid too. Like just because he was so unfit. So I mean, real talk, man. Like I'm super blessed, you know what I mean? And inshallah, hopefully I'm blessed with a child in the future, man. But I was not ready to be a pops or be a dad or even a tour at that time. You know what I mean? I dodged a bullet right there.
Okay. Zachy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I think. Yes, I found it. Okay, it says here, I'm going to use the Sahih International Translation for it, so for our viewers. For each one are successive angels before and behind him who protect him by the decree of Allah. Indeed, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves.
Yeah.
And when Allah intends for a people ill, there is no repelling it, and there is not for them beside him any patron. Hence, I mean, my man said it best because one of his, he used to go to a Islamic school when he was younger, and there was an imam there. It was like the elderly gentleman. He talked about, said that first of all, the first enemy you got to control is the one you see in the mirror. So we got to understand, what is that pain? It's just think about Michael K. Williams. It was like, what kind of pain was he running from? What kind of trauma was he trying to escape? What is this? Nobody just abuses stuff because just it feels good. You're trying to feel good, trying to avoid that stuff. I mean, why do you think some people take like Prozac and whatnot? You remember Prozac?
Yeah, man. This may be TMI, but actually, I'm prescribed Zoloft.
Yeah, you told me. Yeah, you mentioned that. How you holding up, by the way? Before we continue, how you holding up? How you holding up, by the way?
Good. I wish I was still
your mind
doing therapy, but I've been inconsistent.
No, fam. Where's the pendulum swinging right now? It's like, because I know some people who have bipolar. They like always asking, where's the pendulum at right now? Because I know it's a pendulum swing with y'all. No disrespect.
Oh no, it's cool. It's definitely on the up. I feel good, man. I'm happy. Or the closest to
somewhere in the middle, because if it's on one end or one extreme, you got to be prepared for shit.
Yeah, definitely, man. I know how to control it now, man. I definitely think that surrounding myself and getting operating my thoughts and getting enough rest and keeping myself active, everything falls into place after that. I don't miss. That also helps.
But not to, like you said, you want to have kids, but then again, fam, you understand what you have is hereditary, right? Family history passes in. So when the kid, because they could, if any of your children end up being diagnosed with this, are you ready to prepare them for that? Ready to teach them how to overcome it? I understand. I know. It's not as scary. It's not exactly. These are some of the uncomfortable discussions people should be having if they decide to have children. I know we're getting off topic here, but everything's relevant. It's all interconnected. Because I understand.
If I knew that it was a high probability, I would honestly adopt.
I mean, I know I got some associates who they inherited their bipolar from a parent, and it's just it's. I remember watching them go through an episode, and it scared the fuck out of me.
Yeah, man. I
Because
think it's
watching them cry
as a
brought me to
parent,
tears and
I was
everything, you
terrified
know.
of passing something on to my child that I struggled with, man.
Yeah.
Granted, they don't have the resources to get more help and have more empathy.
I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. Oh, I can't. Why am I using that term? I'm not trying to be negative here, but
Oh
these
yeah,
are the conversations that need to be had. Because if you're going to make these choices, you got to understand. You got to make sure you have all the bases covered. I mean, what is it? One of our partners, he gets mad at me because they always bring the worst case scenarios. I'm like, somebody's got to think about them.
mm-hmm.
It's just like, you remember World War Z, that movie World War Z, that when they were in Jerusalem, there was that Israeli dude. He told Brad Pitt, when you have a council of 10 people, and none of them agree on one thing, the 10th one has to disagree, because somebody's got to bring a hypothetical scenario that goes contrary to those things.
Yeah, man. I mean, what's crazy is the other day at work, man, I was talking about the Afghanistan situation and veteran suicides and all this other kinds of stuff is kind of going
Oh,
up.
yeah.
I was just like, hey, if you need somebody, this just for your awareness, guys, it is happening. If you know any veteran friends, talk to them, be there for them. And then somebody was just like, oh, well, you're being a Debbie Downer. I was like, bro, like, God forbid we go to actual war again. Like, you guys aren't ready, man. Like, you guys, Americans, like, we're not ready, bro. The loss and the stress and all that kinds of stuff.
Dude, I'm up in Scandinavia. They were up in. Can you hear me?
Yeah, if you're afraid to talk about suicide, God forbid you get shot at. Like this is real life. It's not a game. People are dying every day, and you need to ask yourself: are you prepared to have these tough conversations? But people run away from that, man, and it's stupid. It's pathetic.
No, when you join the army, you have to make peace with the fact that you may come out of that intact, or you may not, or you make peace with the fact that you may never come back home alive. And the ones who aren't afraid of death are the ones who usually come out of this in one piece. That's the weird thing.
Exactly, man. And people are really afraid of having tough conversations these days. That's why I think it's ironic that our society talks about mental health, but especially when I was like, I hit rock bottom, there was nobody immediately I could talk to, man, about anything. And
well, considering the stigma towards black men in this stuff,
they didn't want to have a lot of tough conversations about that stuff. It was over their heads. But you know, if I'm partying and stuff, I mean, you can kick it and talk about that. We could talk about women and sex and all that stuff 100 times a day. But God forbid, yeah, I mean,
not the discussions I had.
Sex like for hours, but they never check on their homie to see how they're actually doing, man.
I mean, not like the conversations I've had, because most people look at me funny when I talk about protection or getting tested.
Oh yeah, man. So, guys, that's our undoing, man. Is we have our ego and our bravado, man. Like that pride. It's one thing to be proud of something when you've achieved a lot, but a lot of brothers, man, unfortunately, black men, because of what we've been through in this country, we have pride that's misplaced. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, my dick's big and I'm black. You know what I'm saying? My culture is the best and all that kind of stuff. But like, dude, you're still, dependent on your mama. You're still dependent on, the government, with getting a welfare check. Like, why are you so proud, man? You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I made jokes about how I made jokes about that. I've actually made jokes about being well endowed.
Yeah, man. I mean, really.
Because I remember there was like this. I remember I read an article. It was about a Nigerian woman. She's from the north, and she went to an Islamic court because they're Muslim. She went to an Islamic court to ask them to grant her a divorce from her husband. And the reason she was filing for divorce is because her husband was too well endowed.
That's crazy, bro.
And dick size is genetic.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized, I just look at my thing. I'm like, I love you, Dad.
This is stupid.
I mean. Hey, it's just like, like, what was it, that old song, just be thankful for what you got?
Oh yeah, man.
So,
That was in
so
the
you
back,
see where I'm getting. You
smoking
see where I'm
pot,
getting at here.
drinking
You see where I'm getting
Hennessy,
at here.
Vaseline. You know what I'm saying? I know all about that, bro.
William Devon. William Devon. Yeah, I remember. So you get where I'm pointing. Where I'm getting at. Some because I remember talking to a young man here. He was like 18, 19 at the time. No, 17 at the time. I asked him about his life. And I asked him about his family. He talked about how he doesn't have a relationship with his father. And then I asked him, "Do you have a stepfather?" He said, "Yeah." "What's your relationship with him like?" He said, "Oh, it's the best relationship." And I looked at him and said, "Then you're good. You already have a father."
Wow.
See?
Yeah,
It's
man.
like Patrice O'Neill used to say, give people a different option of thinking or a different perspective.
Yeah, man. I play devil's advocate a lot, man, to people, man. You gotta. I think I
And that's
learned
not
that with the
sinful. Hold on, wait. Hold on. That's not sinful, ladies and gentlemen. To play devil's advocate is for the sake of looking at this and trying to figure this mess out. It's nothing. It's not to be satanic here. Don't look at it like that. So yeah, sometimes we got to play the devil's advocate. There's a point for it. There's a time and a place for that. Some people just don't want to see it. Then again, how often do we have empathy for each other and have are willing to be understanding our vulnerabilities or bare our souls because we're afraid that other people might use that and use that against us. Now that's the gynocentric way of thinking right there.
It is, man. It's a crying shame. I know there's a lot of dudes, especially like that, suffer through depression and addiction issues. As long as they're getting pussy, like they think everything's all right, man. That's another flaw that I see a lot.
That's an addiction in itself, right there.
As long as guys are getting laid, they don't want to change. And
That's
I
an
tell
addiction right
girls this all
there.
the time. I was like, if you want your man to change, or a guy that you like to change, or your husband to change, stop having sex with him. Because every time you have sex with a guy, every time you have, this is my personal opinion. Every time a guy gets laid, he's content. He's saying, "Oh, I'm the top dog. How I live my life is obviously right because a woman's willing to have sex with me, regardless of his situation in life. He can be an utter bum and be an idiot, but if he's getting laid on the regular, why would he change? It's like a dog, right? When you feed a dog, right, there's the actual food you feed a dog, and there's treats, right, like milk bones and stuff like that. If your dog is tearing up the house and peeing all over the place, and you still give it a milk bone, you think it's going to stop?
No, you're just basically enabling him. You're just rewarding bad behavior.
Exactly.
What I'm trying to say is like, is it righteous, first of all? Because what you're doing is basically trying to coerce somebody into acting a certain way through sexual control. My thing is, if you want your man to change, first of all, you can't change him. He has to change. He has to change for his when it's in his own best interest to do so. You know what I'm saying? So if she shouldn't think she can just change him. Instead, leave him be, find someone else. Because at the end of the day, the woman still has to be held accountable for her actions because it takes two to tango, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely, man. I just think that you can encourage somebody through your actions to change. You know what I mean? Like some of the best stuff to change.
Because I'm thinking
losing friends and getting your bridge burned and losing opportunities. That was a big motivator for me to get change and get help.
Well, when I was young, I was told that a true friend is willing to lose a friend.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be willing to lose friends if they're not helpful to you. You got to be willing to walk away from relationships if you're not fulfilled and things aren't working out. I remember there were situations where I've been involved with women. Was one young lady, and there was a time I wanted to get involved with her, but I realized not the right time. Because I learned a long time ago, there's a time and a place for everything.
Exactly.
That's why I didn't want to take advantage. As much as I want to take advantage, it wasn't right. I was like, no.
You know what's crazy? I want to see what your opinion on this. In these spaces, I see it a lot. Men in the so-called red pill community in the manosphere, they will use a guy not getting laid or not being in a relationship as being an insult. Like, God forbid, like the guy could be like freaking graduate from Harvard, have a good job, you know what I'm saying, be doing all kinds of charity and good work, mentorship to other black men. But if he's not getting laid, somehow that's like the ultimate insult. You know what I'm saying? And it's stupid. I think that's a really big problem in our community because like there's guys that are utter bums that get laid all the time and they're the man. But if a guy is about his purpose, building his empire and all kinds of stuff, then they look upon him as being weak or pathetic if he's not getting laid all the time, you know, or attracting females or women. And honestly,
Well,
man,
first of all,
screw a lot of what these girls are attracted to. They're attracted to dysfunctional men. And so,
Zachy,
yeah, screw them.
if I may.
Why are you trying to get validated by people that don't want you to be your best self?
Let me answer that question first of all. What kind of individuals are making that kind of assessment is the question.
I don't want to stereotype anybody, but I see in a lot of these spaces, like most of the time, it's the guy that's the stereotypical Pookie and Ray Ray. And I'm not using that as like
no. That's not what I was asking. That's not what I was asking. That's not what I was asking. What I asked was, what type of individual are making that assessment about people who are not getting laid as being incels? Because let's not forget, there are some people in these spaces who aren't about it, but they're just co-opting the label and whatnot, like chameleons.
Honestly, I can't answer that right now.
I can. Because, you know, there are some people here who like faking the funk.
Yeah.
When they're, you know, they're like chameleons because, you know, there's some people because of a certain type of group of folks in the manosphere who have to reinvent themselves, especially due to the backlash of Me Too and Time's Up.
Oh, yeah.
Try to co-op. Yeah. So those are the individuals usually making those kind of assessments.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, about them trying to push their business, but they have to rebrand. So when I hear somebody say something like that, I'm wondering, what is your agenda?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you so focused on one sexual prowess?
Those guys are absolutely worse. Like, oh, I bet you don't neck beard. It's like funny. It's like they'll be like people, oh, we shouldn't body shame, but they'll use it just like neck beard and this and that. And I think I'm
that's so 2015. That's so 2014, so 2015. But yeah, you know, again, you got a lot of hipsters who they're neck beards. So what's that? And you got
exactly. A lot of these guys, these male feminists, aren't good looking either. You know, and the fact that they throw around like petty insults like that, like, oh, you bet you don't get laid. It's like, yeah, like I'd rather be about my money. I'd rather be about my purpose and my spiritual development than being out here just screwing a bunch of girls, man. Like you don't realize how time consuming it is. And on a spiritual level, I think that promiscuous sex is very draining on a spiritual level too. So you're talking about
emotional, physical as well, but as well as spiritual.
Hypersexual people usually have issues, you know, and
yes, hypersexuality or sex addiction, as it's known as.
Yeah, definitely, it's normalized. Nobody talks about that, like, you know, and our culture perpetuates it. It makes so much money. You know what I mean? Like putting out the music
and used as a cop out. I mean, you look at the mental health. I'm sorry for talking over you.
No. I'm ADHD, so I like looking around sometimes. So
no, I talk over you sometimes. What I mean, a lot of people thought I had ADHD,
and that's something that also they don't talk about these spaces. Like I was on a one channel, and the bishop was on there, and somebody else was on there. Sheep Stay Sleep. That guy was on there, and they were talking about porn addiction. And I was talking about, like, yeah, porn addiction is terrible in all these ways, X, Y, and Z. And he was just like, you know, not the bishop, but the other guy was just like, oh, hey, you know, let's not act like we don't want to watch Cherokee Diaz and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, even if I did do that.
That is a vice of mine. I'll own up to that. But, you know, it is what it is.
You know, I wouldn't be proud of that and put that out there as being something acceptable. Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, because we already know the negative connotations of the industry, you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
If you've seen porn, it is what it is. That's what I would say. If you've seen it, okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But I can't use that to shame somebody.
They have to look at stuff like that. Like they act like, oh my God, like I'm a man, I have to look at pornography. Granted, hey, we all have urges and stuff like that, but the problem that it is so normalized and so mainstream right now is because of that mentality. You know what I mean? I remember back when
it's expanded in the past.
Porn was not something that men openly expressed, except for like in little micro levels, like gym and locker room talk. But like average guy wasn't just going out over to the porn store or surfing the internet 24/7 to look at porn. Now it's completely different. It's inescapable.
In the past, what were they doing?
I'm sorry?
In the past, what were they doing?
What do you mean?
Prior to the internet, what were most guys doing?
Most guys were actually talking to women.
No, collecting magazines.
Yeah, that's true.
Even now, centerfolds and everything. So,
mm-hmm.
First of all, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It can be. It's a bit of an addiction for certain people. It is. It can be quite addictive. Others, they look for inspiration.
And what's worse is so normalized now that I feel for any brother that has a daughter right now, because why would a girl put herself through corporate America or going to school and all these things if she could just get naked and have sex with her boyfriend for X amount of money every month? Like I'm gonna be completely honest. That's a pretty hard bargain, man. And people act like, oh, I'm gonna teach my daughter morals and this and that and the third, man. But it's still at the end of the day, man. It's just like moms that say, oh, my son's not gonna be a drug dealer. My son's not gonna be a rapper. A rapper. It's that naivety. Because when people are incentivized to engage in
especially on that side of on your side of the Atlantic, they're very hung up on sex. In Europe, they're a little more liberal about it. They're like a matter of fact about it. They don't shame anybody for your lack of sex. They're like, it is what it is. It's just that in the U.S., it's, and even to a lesser extent, Canada and other places, there is such a fixation on it.
Yeah, I think that in the U.S., a big problem we have is like the Me Too movement and Time's Up movement. It's an it's a feminist movement that's aggressive sex and all that kinds of stuff and harassment. But at the same time, those same people support hypersexuality in every facet of our society. And I think the hypersexual connotations and mentality is creating these situations where people cross the line. You know what I mean? Like there's no self-control or restraint. Like I think about it all the time. I haven't worked anywhere where like male and female coworkers weren't fucking each other all the time. And I've seen like the productivity go down.
Oh, the bears have been fucking with the salmon. Down. Okay.
Yeah, because they're always like there's always.
Wait, do you even know the analogy?
Fucking, and it's chaotic, man. Like and it's all this extra drama that doesn't need to be there. And
Zachy, did you understand the analogy I just used?
What?
Patrice O'Neill, he had this thing about, he said, women working with men is like grizzly bears. Wait a minute, finish your tea, because I don't need your choke.
Oh, no, I just finished it.
They're like, women working with men is like grizzly bears working with salmon dipped in honey. Mm-hmm. So I guess in this case, the grizzlies are just, are enjoying slobbering all the salmon, and their faces are covered in honey.
Mm-hmm. Even like the definition of sexual harassment, a lot of that depends on if the person's attracted to you or not. It's not sexual harassment if the person that you're attracted to says, hey, you want to go get a beer after work, or hey, you look cute today, yada, yada, yada. But if they're not attractive, then that's a problem.
That's why you have policies where, especially like in the corporate setting, where it is a big no-no to have any office romance, because it could upset the balance and the harmony within the workplace. Mm-hmm. It can cause sort of unnecessary complications and conflicts. Then again, I remember growing up listening to Roger Troutman. He has a song called Love Incorporated. We talked about a man, and this was back in late 1990. Yeah, you better pick that for right. Better pick it right. Gotta look sharp.
Yeah.
Anyway, anyways, like it's like at that time he had a song called "Love in Corporate" where it talks about like a man having a thing for a coworker. It was a different time and different environment, but the corporate setting has become more feminized. There's more women working in office places, especially in the human resource department. That's now a female stronghold. So I understand the whole thing about office romance is a big no-no. That's why a lot of people are told you don't get your meat where you get your bread and butter.
Yeah. It's like people act like they have no choice but to date people that they work with. It's like there's millions of people out there that you pass every single day, but now it's awkward because unless it's like a social media or it's Tinder, people think it's awkward to see somebody that you're attracted to and go say hi to them, especially women. Like women act like guys are really afraid of rejection, but they never take it upon themselves to go shoot their shot at a guy. They think they're above that. You know what I mean?
I can tell you here, like I said earlier, what I said about, there was a couple of times where I was promoted, where I was like propositioned, but had to turn it down because it wasn't the right time and place. Mm-hmm. There was one young lady, she was really interested in me, and she came on a little strong, but as much as I wanted to, I was like, no, this is not it's just a bad timing for everybody. I mean, she was a lovely young lady. Of course, this is up here in Europe. But she was a genuinely lovely young lady, sweet personality, kind-hearted soul. But it was just a different time. It was just a bad timing. And she had, and of course, some people, they have their issues with substances. And like up here, I understand like where I'm at, there's like you have issues with alcoholism a bit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I'm not down with drinking, so that's kind of awkward for a lot of people.
Hey man, I'm approaching an hour, so
yeah, I wanted to ask about the timing.
Yeah. You got it. You got any last statements? I'm gonna go get something to eat. I'm done for the day.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to show some support. Just holler at my brother, see how everything's going. Seeing that it's good to see you. All right.
Yeah,
stay blessed.
As always, man.
Stay on the up and up.
Like, share, and subscribe, please, because I've been having some traffic, decent views and stuff, but people that come through won't like it or share it. Please, put the word out there, and please just hit the like button. It's free. It's painless. I really appreciate everybody that's on here. Thank you, Wolfbone, man. You always come through like first thing. I know you got a notification bell, so hit that notification bell also if you want to see this on time. I
just put a like for you. I just put a like on just now. It's mandatory, show us some respect. You enjoying this? So anyway, brother, you stay safe. Good to hear from you. And happy Labor Day once again.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Michael K. Williams as well. God rest his soul.
Peace, rest his soul. Hey, Quaranon, you got my email. Let's schedule a talk like that. Or next stream I do that, that'll be the topic, okay? Inshallah. All right, salam alaikum. Take care.